Senator Bevel, Senator Szilard, Senator Morris, Senator Joyce, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Sepulveda, Senator Otiocha, Senator Armstrong, Senator Dumas, Senator Labale, Senator Guerra, Senator Parchman,
Here.
Senator Arantes, Senator Khalid, Senator Sneed, Senator Lopez, Senator Coburn, Senator Benacourt, Senator Seeley, Senator Houston, Senator Goldthorpe, Senator Yezik,
I saw it.
Present.
Sure.
Senator Miuta,
Here.
Senator Myers, Senator Taylor, Senator Bulk, Senator Ramirez, Senator Whitsett, Senator Sita,
Okay, we'll go to approve the minutes from last week. I sent that out. You guys should have had an opportunity to look over it. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, any abstentions? Okay, seeing none. That passes. Moving on to open forum. Is anyone here for open forum? Okay, moving on to speaker's podium. Unfortunately, Dr. Philly was unable to meet with us, but she does send her apologies and she's looking to reschedule her meeting with us. Moving on to committee reports. Events.
So the events committee met on Wednesday last week. We talked about Patriot Premier and had a broader discussion about what we feel that our role should be. And Tyler is going to reach out to Corbin Hammer about exactly what he would like us to do with that. Furthermore, we talked about the finals bags. We talked about what we want to see in them, and we're working to figure out what vendor we used last year. And then once we figure out that vendor, we'll place the order for supplies, and once that's done, you guys will find out about packing those and what all goes into that.
All right. So for communications, we actually just posted a Instagram post for Arbor Day, and then I will be working here today or tomorrow on a post for our treasurer regarding new information.
Treasurer Barnes, SGAC did meet last week on Thursday. We approved 2 events and denied one. We approved the American Society for Mechanical Engineers for $191.31. Additionally, we also approved the American Medical Association Society for $220.39. And then unfortunately, we did have to deny the Tri Beta Biological Honor Society for their initial request of $126.99. And that concludes my report.
Chief Staff Burns, last week Rules Committee met on Thursday and unanimously voted to approve an amendment to bring before you guys that you'll be seeing later in this meeting.
Senator Shallard here. We didn't meet last week, but I did meet with Bonnie this week. We talked about what she wants to see in the coming semester. She wants one event held by ESC or ESC. And we also want to implement something with sustainability around campus. We talked about possibly doing a compost with the Met, and attracting more worms by the pond, which then would attract more fishermen and kind of scare away the swimmers that want to swim at night in those ponds.
Okay, moving on to student voice reports. First up, we have Liberty Landing. Okay, moving on, we have Ornelas Hall.
Senator Taylor for OHAL. I've yet to meet with the head of constituency, Brandon, my RC for OHAL, but I work with him daily. We did not have our bi-weekly one-on-one meeting this week because of Fright Fest. Things at OHAL have been going pretty good. No major complaints. Like at the start of semester, everything's calmed down. Freshmen have gotten moved in and adjusted to living campus life. Housing is throwing their big Fright Fest event tonight. So RAs have been doing health and safeties this week, doing door knocks. So we're expected to get about 700 people to come out to the housing campus-wide event. And later today, OHAL will be broadcasting over the speakers in the building, trying to get as many freshman residents we can to come out to our event and support housing.
Thank you. Moving on to Patriot Village.
Okay. So Kate actually met with our RC Bethania this week, and so we just kind of talked over what they went over. So we have brought up some concerns about, we've had a lot of students complain about a lack of washers and dryers and not having enough, and it's also the big problem there is people leaving stuff in them, forgetting about it. But regardless, it creates an issue with people not being able to do laundry. So they're going to bring that up at the next housing meeting and see if there is anything they can come up with to resolve that issue. We also have had an issue with several students have said things about our smoke alarms and fire alarms. Sometimes they just go off because there's so much dust in them. Like it's thick dust. And so we talked to her about it, and we can't clean them because it will set them off. So she's put in a maintenance request, and maintenance is gonna find a day to come through and do all the sprinklers and alarm systems in Patriot Village and clean those so that that's not an issue anymore. And then we also brought up the Patriot Village Senators are looking at planning some sort of social event after Thanksgiving break. We're thinking about doing a hot cocoa bar and just having an area where people can come and have little slips. They can write what they like or don't like, and just another way to hear out our students and our constituency. And then, so we are working with her to solidify a date and plans for that. And then the final thing that we really went over was that HVAC did not make it to all of the apartments last week to do maintenance. And so they're coming back. They have it scheduled for tomorrow and Thursday. They finally got the parts in. And so they're going to come back and finish up everything they needed to do. And then also just wanted to see anybody that can, just make sure you try to show up to the Residency Fright Fest tonight.
Okay, thank you for that. Also, just to preface that you don't always have to be a senator to give a report for a specific student voice report. If you have information regarding that specific topic, you can always chime in. Okay, moving on to officer reports. Today I had a meeting with the Walk to End Alzheimer's committee. So last week, unfortunately, the event was canceled due to rain and weather, and they have rescheduled it to be December 6th. So we were kind of just troubleshooting and trying to see how to get more involvement and raise donations.
All right. Hello. Is it working? Okay. Couldn't tell. Vice President Page. So really, like Ben said, we talked about what our role would be in Patriot Premier. So I did reach out to Corbin Hamner afterwards, and mainly to inquire about like the Q&A panels, like who would I need to get in contact to. They are not doing any Q&A panels. They are doing like academic sessions, which are led by the deans, to my understanding. So I'm gonna reach out again, just to clarify kind of what our role could possibly be on those panels or anything like that. We are registered as an organization now to table there, so we'll have a table with 3 members at it. So if that is something that you would like to do, you'd like to kind of have that face-to-face time with the students coming here, please come talk to me. We will be taking volunteers for that. Other than that, he did also say they're going to have some wayfinding stations around campus to kind of help guide students, whether that's where's the nursing building, where do I find this resource, or probably the really important question of where is the Chick-fil-A. You know, that's a nice way to kind of learn your way around campus if you haven't yet. I think it's really fun, and you get to kind of give like little tours, give people fun facts. Um, so yeah, I'll put a poll in the group me kind of on what y'all would like to do later. But if y'all have any questions, come talk to me.
Treasurer Barnes, I have been collaborating with Maddie on getting the updated SGAC guidelines out and on the Instagram, as well as being in collaboration with Tyler, Vice President Page, on getting the tabling situated for Patriot Premier. I think, yeah, that is about all for me.
Secretary White. I have been working trying to get some things updated on our Instagram. I just, like I said earlier, I made a post just now on our Instagram from Arbor Day, and then here soon I will be working with our treasurer on getting some new information out there, and I have also been working on updating our attendance as well. So.
Chief of Staff Burns. This week has been really amendment week for me. I finished writing the amendment and sent it off to multiple people to kind of get their input on it. Sent it to Councilman Haney. He thought he liked it, and his only feedback was really just clarify some wording. And then I met with Josh yesterday for briefly to just talk about some final clarifications, and we got it approved by Rules Committee this week. And then I made the presentation that you're going to see in a little bit.
Okay, moving on to old business. We don't have anything for old business, so moving on to new business, I entertain a motion to open a special election discussion. Okay, I believe last meeting we had a nomination for a senator to chair the ad hoc committee.
Senator Houston, firstly, I would just like to thank you guys for even nominating me for this position. It's a great opportunity to be able to better understand what our constituents want, what they want to see from us on specific issues or on a broader scale, because there is something to be said for mouth-to-mouth communication, but in the reality of things, we can only truly get their opinions if we're able to survey them on a really, really broad level. And I am excited about the potential opportunity to do that, whether that's through doing a scooter survey and starting there and building up to something on a broader level about all of the issues that UT Tyler students face, from parking all the way to, there was gum on the bottom of my shoe because there was gum on the sidewalk, that type of thing. Other than that, open to any questions.
Okay, seeing no questions, Chief of Staff Burns will go ahead and escort Senator Houston out while we have a time to discuss. Okay,
Senator Bevel. I believe we all want to see Senator Houston in the role, so I would like to motion to vote for special elections.
okay. Also, to preface as well, if a senator motions, that you just have to second it. You don't have to carry it. It's just the executive board, whenever they entertain a motion, it needs to be carried, then seconded by a senator. Okay, so all those in favor of instituting Senator Houston as the chair of this committee, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed? Okay, and any abstentions? All right, that passes. So as he walks in, go ahead and just give him a round of applause to notify him that he has won the seat. Okay, perfect. According to the rules, I don't believe there's anything else we need to do. I do want to clarify, last meeting, did we specifically charge the committee with what they are allowed to do?
They create surveys.
Okay, just create surveys.
They cannot administer the surveys because any student-wide email has to be approved by the board.
Okay.
So they don't need to, I can get back. The ad hoc committee was charged with creating surveys. Now, they don't have to necessarily bring them to the Senate for approval. That is, to their discretion. If they want some feedback or they possibly need some ideas on hey, what do y'all want data on next? They can bring that to the Senate. But any student-wide, student body emails only have to be approved by the executive board. So they can just bring it to us on any day. And as long as, we have a approved vote, it can go out. And then they can present their findings during their next report or during new business. Yeah.
Okay. So I entertain a motion to close the special elections discussion. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. Any opposed? All right, that passes. I entertain a motion to open a CETL student panel discussion. Okay, that was carried and seconded. Okay, so I was reached out to by Danielle Bailey, and she is requesting to have about 3 to 5 volunteers for a student panel that'll be focused towards faculty. And basically, the students would be asked questions about what makes a good faculty member and how can faculty members best support students, and basically how they can participate in a classroom to better student success. This is a discussion, so you're open to talk about it.
What is the date and time of that panel?
It's November 12th. The time is not yet set, but it would be during lunch hour, so between like 11 to 3 p.m. Not like the entire event, but a time range.
I got it. Yeah. Senator Taylor has volunteered. Treasurer Barnes has also volunteered.
Senator Sepulveda, I would like to volunteer as well.
Senator Ramirez, I'll also volunteer for that.
Senator Houston, I'll also volunteer for that.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and collect your names and reach out to you with the more information I receive, and also send your names to Danielle as well. Okay. I entertain a motion to close CETL student panel discussion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. And any abstentions? Okay, that passes. I entertain a motion to speak on the Constitution Amendment. Okay.
Instead of looking back.
Yes, actually, yes. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Senator Lubale. I'm here with Senator
Guerra.
Coburn. Arantes.
We are part of the Rules Committee, and I know we've had a lot of discussion about the Constitution and amendments and the whole 9 yards. So, we've been attending Rules Committee meetings, and we are going to show y'all what we have come up with so far. So, yes, perfect. This is a little history about the current constitution as it currently stands. The previous rendition of Article 1.2 only provided SGA members with requirements for holding a position with a hard line cutoff based on your position. This applied to all members of SGA without providing them any leeway. GPAs do not actively update, and this combined with the way the GPAs are not universal to any major or classification. So previously, Article 1.2, as I literally just said, like, was very strict. There wasn't a lot of leeway for current members to like have maybe a semester where they didn't do as hot and could still be an SGA. So we're trying to revise that. Next slide. Oh, perfect. So currently, 1.2 eligibility. To begin the membership process and hold office, students must be enrolled, meet the position-specific requirements outlined in the SGA documents, and meet the following eligibility requirements at minimum. So senators shall have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA and be a constituent of the available Senate seat. Justices shall have a minimum of a 2.5 cumulative GPA, be a current member of SGA, and have served one full semester or attend 8 General Assembly meetings as a senator for SGA, or be nominated by the SGA president. And then finally, executive officers and the Chief Justice shall have a minimum of a 2.75 cumulative GPA, be a current member of SGA, and have served one full semester or attended 8 General Assembly meetings as a senator for SGA. And this is just what the old eligibility requirements looked like. Again, very strict cutoffs. But what we're trying to attempt today, and I'll let Senator Guerra finish. Sorry.
So today's goal is that we want to introduce the amendment to the Senate. So this is what we've been working on throughout the Rules Committee meetings. We want to make it clear that all of this is with the idea of upholding our standards of SGA. We want to be really clear. We want to be precise. We don't want y'all to misinterpret what we're proposing to y'all. We want to implement also a system that kind of just balances standards and fairness, because I know that was a really big topic on our previous discussions. We want to also provide more purpose just for our judicial board to act within their role. And we also want to have like a backup plan. So if there is no judicial board, we do have that power to make that ad hoc committee who would be standing in for J board in that case. And then we also want to bring it up to y'all because you as senators give us, you just give your thoughts and your questions. And we really just want to make sure this is just a very smooth transition, that we adopt this as y'all would like. Okay, so this is just a image. This is just the outline for the new constitution. We will be, of course, explaining it in the next slides. So, should an active member of SGA fall below the cumulative grade point average requirements outlined in Article 1.2a, the following probationary clause will come into effect.
So now I'm going to read through section 1 of the proposed amendment. The members shall appear before a sitting judicial board for probationary review. Per Article 3, the judicial board shall work with the member to develop and approve an academic success plan that establishes goals and provisions for the member to return to good academic standing within the Student Government Association. If there is no active judicial board within 21 days of Article 1.2.c being enacted, the SGA shall establish an ad hoc committee outlined in Article 7.1 to conduct the hearing. If the member under review is a member for the judicial board, then the SGA president shall establish an ad hoc committee to conduct the review. At the end of the probationary semester, the judicial board or ad hoc committee shall hold a follow-up review to determine further eligibility. So it's the intent to establish provisions for a review held by the J board and to establish a success plan. And the ad hoc committee would be a great option for backup plan, since there is moments when the J board isn't established. And then a member will become eligible for a 1 semester probationary period if, and the judicial board or the ad hoc committee can grant them a second probationary period if they deem it necessary, but it's a maximum of 2 semesters throughout your time in the student government.
All right, so for section 2, for the duration of the probationary period, it would only last 1 semester. If needed, the member can request an extension for an additional semester for probation, which is subject to the approval of the Justice Board or the established ad hoc committee. A member can only stay in the probationary period for 2 semesters, whether it was consecutively or separate semesters. Members who do receive an extension must have a judicial board or ad hoc committee update their academic success plan to reflect their academic improvement efforts. So basically, we're not saying, hey, we're giving you this additional time and figure it out, get your grade up. We're basically saying, we'll give you this additional time and we're also giving you guidance to get your grade up.
Okay. And then we have section 3. Section 3 is based on the eligibility. So this position specific requirements for a member SGA to be eligible for a probationary period are as follows. So number 1, for senators, a GPA between 1.5 to 1.99 will place the member on a probationary period. Likewise, number 2, for our justices, a GPA between 2.0 to 2.49 will also place that member on a probationary period. And then for number 3, our executive officers and the Chief Justice, a GPA within 2.25 to 2.74 will place them on their probationary period. Section B, if an active member of SGA has a GPA more than 0.5 points below the requirements as outlined in Article 1.2a for the position, then they are not eligible for a probationary period. So this, if unfortunately, if your GPA score is higher than that, then we will not be considering that probationary period, and you will more than likely leave the SGA. And then C, a member must meet the eligibility requirements for their position when they begin the term. So anyone who is elected already has to have that grade point. And that's, yeah.
So in between the time of the judicial review slash the ad hoc committee being formed and a decision being made on whether a member is allowed to have probationary status or not, what does their membership in SGA look like?
Hi, Chief of Staff Burns. I'm going to join them for questions, but they did a great job. Thank you, guys. So your question was basically like what happens during those 21 days. You're still a member, so you're basically just waiting on a hearing. You're not going to be like on suspension or anything like that. I think that would just further complicate things when it would be unnecessary.
Senator Goldthorpe, are there going to be like specific extension like rules for them to be able to get an extension, or is it just like, is it going to be like if the judicial board or e-board or whoever decides yes or no?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how that's going to work is that you can apply for an extension, like you can request it through either the J board or your ad hoc committee that is reviewing it. And based on, whether there's nothing in the Constitution that's specifically going to highlight how that's going to work, but I think it's up to them. So if J board believes that you're making good progress or you're meeting their, requirements for their academic success plan, then they could look at granting you an extension. And that's also going to apply to the ad hoc committee. So, but there's nothing specifically written just to make sure that ability is strictly within J board, and their decisions wouldn't be limited by the Constitution.
Vice President Page. Can't tell if this one's on ever. I guess my question has to do with the academic semester. If, because that's a very different time period if it's at the beginning of the semester versus midterms, whenever that comes around. So is it just like the fall, spring, summer semester, no matter what time that their ineligibility or like the probationary period kicks in, 2 weeks until, finals kicks in, that's one semester? Or is that a definable amount of time, like days?
So basically how it works right now is that it is the rest of that semester. But the thing about it is that GPAs only update at the beginning of term and midterms. So at, the least amount of time they would possibly have is half the semester. So I think that that's a reasonable amount of time so that they, instead of like certain days and everything, because then that would probably get very complicated to keep track of. It's just you get the rest of that semester. And if like after those finals, they still don't meet the requirements, then they could apply for one more semester.
Vice President Page. Yeah, that was going to be my follow up of like, if they just feel they don't necessarily have the time, but they are making the improvements, that is when the application for the continuance goes in. Okay.
Yeah, it gives them the ability to have flexibility in being able to apply for an extension if they're making good effort. But if they're not making good effort towards then of course, then J board could decide to deny that extension. So I think it gives a good ability for leniency for people who are trying, but then also holds those who are not trying accountable.
So I'm assuming there aren't, but I wanted to make sure if somebody is placed on probation, are there any consequences? Do they lose do we take away their requirement to be on a committee because maybe that's part of their struggle? What does this probationary period look like? Or is it just, hey, we're giving you a second chance before we completely suspend you?
It really is. It's a second chance, flexibility with an academic success plan. So I think Rules Committee's vision for an academic success plan really looked like where J board could say, hey, you need to go meet with your professor that you're failing the class in. You need to have mandatory study hours, things like that. Not necessarily, we're not trying to limit their abilities to do their job within SGA during the probationary period. I think it's more of a, hey, we understand that things might be happening or this, that, or the other, and we're going to try to help you get back on track. So it's not a punishment. It's more of a, hey, we understand there's an issue. Let's see what we can do to fix it. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
Vice President Page. I would just like to remind everybody that, if we do vote on this today, it will have to be a supermajority, 2/3 vote. So it's not, the normal like 51%. I believe that's really only thing that I have, I guess, is also kind of towards Houston's is my understanding also like it will not obviously remove your need to be on a committee, but possibly part of your academic success plan is, hey, some of these committees are a little bit more intensive than others. Rules Committee obviously has worked very hard on this. SGAC, I know, works very, very hard to get those hearings every week. Outside of Midnight Breakfast, Events Committee is a little bit more laid back. Like maybe there's we can find another place for you possibly, and like maybe that's not an option you realize was available. So yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that the Judicial Board Ad Hoc Committee could implement. They could say, hey, we understand that, you're trying to focus on your school. So how can we help to lighten your workload for SGA? That's something I think that could be held within those discussions and those closed meetings.
Senator Ramirez, when will this amendment go in? If we vote on it today, when would it go into action? When would it start? And then anybody that was below the academic criteria this semester, would this count as their probationary since it's just now taken into effect? Or would they be able to have the next semester as their probationary period since this amendment was like just created and since it wasn't there before, would this count as, that whole thing?
So to answer your first question, the way that the process works is that the Senate can vote with the 2/3 supermajority vote. And the amendment then has to be approved and signed off by the SJ advisor, and then it has to be signed off by the Vice President for Student Success, who right now is Dr. Sam Ferguson. So then after he signs off, then the time it takes to go into effect is as soon as I can post it on the website, because in SJ, we have to go off based on what's posted. And so like if he approves it, next Thursday or into a week and a half from now, as soon as it's on the website, it is technically in effect. But as well, the suspension lasts until November 12th. And so I think the reason why Rules Committee wanted to bring it to y'all with 2 weeks in advance is so that we don't ever have the ability to run into the issue of not having enough time, like getting it posted, waiting on the approval process. So we have 2 full weeks to really get it into effect before the suspension ends. And then for your second question, I think that's going to be a question for our advisor probably thanks. Based on his reading, I would say, like based on the way it's written, is that this semester would apply and it would start, and then that person would be eligible to receive an extension. That's, it depends.
That's a good question. I think there's no right or wrong in that one. I think you can make a case for either way. I think that's something to defer to the Judicial Board and the ad hoc committee to let them decide it depending on severity. So I would defer that decision to
J Board.
I think you can make a case for either way.
Yeah, you can make a case for both. I think the Judicial Board could have that conversation and say, hey, we understand that this just went into effect, and so it'll start next semester.
I think the other thing is going back to Chief of Staff Burns' comments, we need to also determine how long it takes to get it fully adopted. And so I will do my best to try to get it approved before the suspension thing lives, but no later than January 1.
January. Yeah, worst case scenario, we come back and suspend until January, like suspend the current until January 1 and then implement that amendment.
Senator Sita, I just have a question about the freshmen because many of us freshmen start with zero GPA because we haven't taken any college classes. How will that affect us?
So I can actually kind of answer this one a little bit. As y'all know, this is a very young Senate for the most part. Not only just like a lot of like, this is y'all's first term, but also they're like our class has shifted from being a lot of like junior seniors to being a lot of freshman sophomore. Now, I'm a senior. If I fail a class, I tank a exam, anything like that right now, it really won't hurt me all that much because I have so much padding from the classes I've taken throughout my time here. So if anything, this should really help to, kind of promote getting uh, the I don't want to say younger voices, the getting people involved in student government earlier and not necessarily punishing them for making some of those mistakes that you make early on in college. Because I'll tell you right now, I did not know how to study my first year out here. I definitely thought I did. I thought all-nighters were the way to go. I thought I was going to do amazing. And then I got like a 40 on my Kim final. That was wonderful. But, this will affect everyone. Someone's on the Zoom. So this will affect everyone equally. Everyone will benefit equally from it.
Oh, you got it? Hayden, an emotion. You got one?
Senator Teocha, I think his question was more so on because they start with a 0 GPA. When you start college, you have no credit, so technically your GPA is 0, but it's not a true 0 GPA, so they wouldn't be affected by that 2.5.
Correct me if I say anything wrong, Josh, but if you don't have a GPA, then I don't think that it can't apply to you. So does that make sense? So like your GPA is not going to start until your second semester of college if you don't have any credit. So if you don't have a GPA, then you're not violating any requirements. It's not that your GPA is 0, it's that it's just you don't have one. Does that make more sense?
Senator Taylor, I motion to vote on this amendment.
Seconded.
Hold on. I have one last thing before it was seconded. Okay, true.
Okay. All those in favor of approval of this amendment to the Constitution, please raise your hand. Uh, We don't vote, it's just an abstention. Okay, thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. Any abstentions, please raise your hand. Okay, I believe that passes. Okay, I entertain a motion to close.
Oh, sorry, Chief of Staff Burns. I also, it would be really helpful if the Senate could make a vote to any formatting changes that would be necessary, like when implementing the amendment to the Constitution, so that I can go back in there and correct page numbers and like links to like the table of contents and things like that. Okay, so yes, you have to. I was talking to Josh about this. He said yes. So.
Vice President Page. So just to clarify, this would be voting to approve any formatting changes limited to making sure the links work within the Constitution and page numbers line up correctly with, like, to reflect the table of contents to where they actually fall in the document. Okay. 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 I entertain a motion to vote on the constitutional, like, formatting changes limited to correcting the links within the Constitution and making sure that the table of contents reflects the page numbers and everything.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. Any abstentions, please raise your hand. Okay, that passes. I entertain a motion to close the Constitution Amendment. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Advisor comment. Oh, sorry, hold on.
Vice President Page, I entertain a motion to open discussion about the strategic plan and kind of our speaker's podium that was sent out in the group me. Cool. I just kind of wanted to, take this time to, hopefully whenever we're able to reschedule, hoping that that will be before, our big breaks and everything. But do y'all have any like questions that y'all would like us to kind of give to her to possibly, touch on a little bit more in regards to the strategic plan? Because this was something that was kind of presented last semester, and we do have a lot of fresh faces this semester. So is there anything in specific y'all would like to know a little bit more about or have kind of explained a little more in depth?
Senator Taylor, so just to clarify, this is questions that we would give to President Philly before she would come here, and then she would like have preemptive answers to these. I'm sure she would touch on it about the strategic plan. It's always like a big factor on it, but housing, just in like an all-encompassing kind of from student availability for upperclassmen, for freshmen, for a bunch of stuff. Just housing questions would be on there.
Yeah, so you can send in questions, but also whenever she comes, feel free to ask more questions if you have any. If you'd like, I could provide some context or answer a little bit of what I know from the strategic plan about housing as well.
I wouldn't have any questions at this time. It's more so like they are specific, but I just didn't know if she was going to talk about them. She's talked about them previously, but I don't know if there's like any updates on them. And I would just ask whenever she comes and talks.
Vice President Page. Also, please feel free that like whenever we do have, any speaker, even if that like whatever you're asking about isn't necessarily like what they've been talking about, feel free to ask questions, anything within their role, or even if y'all have any concerns about y'all's constituents or anything like that, like y'all have a voice here, please, ask no matter what it is. I had something else in the back of my mind. I cannot remember what it is now, but I believe Senator Otiocha raised his hand.
Senator Otiocha, my question was about if the strategic plan was going to be updated in terms of, I know on there the Foundry was also part of the plan originally, and the Foundry is no longer with us. So in terms of the housing need, whether it's still met with the plan, given that we're not going to have Foundry as she stated in there. So.
Have you guys had a chance to look through the actual PDF of the strategic plan? Just like give me a nod, yes, no. I could pull it up and we could discuss it further.
If y'all would like, we do have some time until this meeting is like rescheduled, and hopefully, Dr. Philly is able to attend a later General Assembly. It's on. I think it is. I don't know at this point. But everyone, should have the strategic plan. If you'd like to review it now, we can do that now, or we can now. I'm going to entertain a motion to close this discussion. We'll, give our questions to Dr. Philly whenever we're hopefully able to reschedule, and we'll follow up as updates come.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. And any abstentions? Okay. I entertain a motion to close new business. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. And any abstentions? Okay.
All right. So super proud of y'all and kudos to the rules committee. I don't know, I can't recall of a constitutional amendment done this early in the academic year. So awesome work. I'm very proud of y'all. Obviously, I had a chance to review the proposal before tonight's meeting, and I'm in clear support of it anytime. It helps increase engagement in student government, not hinder it, and provide access to this group, the better. And so I never want to be losing students who want to be a part of this organization, especially when we still have open seats. And so kudos to y'all for getting that done. And then the other comment is on, I would say on the strategic plan. Make sure, I agree to take some time. Make sure y'all go look at it. This is y'all chance to provide constructive feedback, good and bad, whatever y'all would like to share. It's important. And I know Dr. Philly really does value student input. And so it's important that y'all share y'all's perspective on that. And so that way we can address any concerns before we continue to make progress on that plan. But overall, good meeting, very efficient, and good job.
Okay, for announcements, we have finals bags coming up, and then the communication with your head of constituency assignment. I believe that's due November 2nd, so make sure to reach out and send in a screenshot of you doing so. Does anyone else have any announcements?
Vice President Page, no events committee. Clinicals are a lot of them this week, unfortunately. So enjoy Halloween.
SGAC will be meeting at 2:30 on Thursday instead of our regular 5:30.
Rules committee will not be meeting this week. I have an honors colloquia, and honestly, guys, we've been working really hard the last few weeks. It'll be good. You guys enjoy Halloween.
I just wanted to say, for everybody that may be new or is not in the group me, please come see me afterwards.
Okay, our next meeting will be November 4th, 5:30 in this same building. Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn